And welcome to another episode of the Growth Focus podcast, where we bring tech leaders from across the globe to share all things tech, their expertise, and their insights. I'm Gary Lafferty, I'm your host, and this episode I'm very pleased to have Juliana, CEO and founder of TechSlice, and she's going to be sharing some insights into the med tech based companies. So without further ado, Juliana, welcome. Lovely to have you here. Why don't you start off with giving us a little bit of history about how you started in tech and to how you and where you are today?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I do not have the traditional background of how I arrived in tech. And I originally started out as a recruiter, started some operational consulting, and then got into tech by through one of my clients. And then from there, really started focusing on coding, getting into software, and really building in our community in a variety of ways.
Right,
So.
that's quite interesting coming from recruiting into tech from there. So, what was an inspiration for you to go from recruiting, which is a very much personal led industry, into coding, where it's you predominantly and the keyboard?
Yeah, so I was recruiting technologists, like senior and mid-level developers. So I was interfacing with top-notch talent across the region and across the US. And when people get really passionate about their projects, that really drew me in. And I wanted to understand, as I was recruiting this top talent, what made their projects or skills or what they were producing in their portfolio so novel and exciting. And when they got excited, I got excited. I'm like, why is this so cool? And wanted to read through the code and understand. And so essentially, I just became overly nosy
Yeah.
and I wanted to know what was going on versus just, I'm a very like trust but verify kind of person as well. So along with like the passion and excitement for their projects when they were building, I think I'm a natural builder, and that was really appealing to me to be able to rip into these projects and collaborate with a variety of people from all kinds of different backgrounds and get my hands dirty in the code and be able to produce something from an idea to, hey, this is actually a tool or a product or something that brings joy to people or helps people. It was really powerful in that way, and that resonated pretty deeply with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally understand that. When you from a concept to seeing it grow through to an actual end product, a viable product, that must be so exciting because you're actually almost like watching a child grow, isn't it? Is you're literally watching a baby grow to where it is. Very exciting times. So from there, interestingly enough, from that, how did you get into medtech?
So it was kind of an accident. We've like most of my career just kind of happened. Um, with recruiting, I didn't have very much of a life. So my golden rule was like never have a meal alone. And so I had networked so deeply and had made a lot of really great connections. So I was a few folks first or second calls are like, do you know somebody who could do this? And I known for like my superpower is putting together teams or saying, hey, I know a guy or I know a girl and they would be perfect to like accomplish this for you. And so this mentor and client actually came and was like, I got this guy. I'm so glad I had no idea who this guy was, that he referred me, but he ended up being one of the top surgeons in the country. And he was like, I'm tired of people dying on a one-on-one basis. Like, here's what I'm trying to achieve. We can monitor all other organs in real time, but we can't monitor the brain really effectively, especially like in a neuro ICU environment. And so I sat down with my co-founder and technologist, and we just really ripped apart the idea. And he had gone to like 14 different software companies, and we were just a small like group of nerds, right, that were just ripping apart problems. So we're like, here's where we think you're gonna fail, and we ask like a million questions, right? And he's like, you guys got it, and then you just leveled up my idea. So he picked us. We had never done anything in the med tech realm before, and just for a little bit of context, it at least right now is taking between 5 to 7 years to create a commercial ready medical device. We were able to go from the back of a napkin at a coffee shop prototyped, FDA approved, integrated in hospitals, saving hundreds of lives within a year and a half. So when I say we're aggressive and about like removing any excuses for people dying, like we're aggressive about it. And it was monumental because at the time, I think I was running two software companies. I was pregnant. COVID was happening. So we donated all the devices. It was highly risky, highly intense as far as process is concerned. And I couldn't go into the hospital because I was pregnant. So we had some team members go in and integrate the devices and kind of just test it out at first. But the first patient we saved, the first call I got, I was like barefoot, pregnant in my office. And it just so happened the idea that we came up with at the back of a coffee shop, the first patient we saved was another mom, and she was able to go home to her family that next week. And I ugly cried. And like that was the moment I know exactly, you have those moments in your life, those like collision points or those little dots on the scatter plot of like, this was the pivot point for me.
Yeah.
That was one of mine. This woman, this mother has changed the trajectory of my life, and we've never even met. And I think that's very powerful because that was like, this is what I want to do. Like, we can go and save people. This is where we can make the biggest impact when it comes to like education and medical, like all of these industries that are ripe for innovation, that we can save people today if we just have the right combination of resources, collision point of people to solve these very, very solvable and achievable outcomes.
That is a fascinating story,
Yeah.
Juliana. It really is. It's very heartfelt as well, but and I think it's absolutely amazing because you've got the human factor to it, but even just on the business side, which I'll just come back to very, very quickly, going from napkin, the back of a napkin, to FDA approved, to be able to actually go and save someone's life within 18 months, whilst the rest of the world is effectively shut down and you being pregnant all at the same time. What a massive, massive achievement. And the fact that you haven't met the mother that you say. Have you met her yet? I mean, as a
No,
still
because
no.
clients and HIPAA and everything. So I'll never meet her.
Yeah.
Anonymized data, right? But I got a tip from someone at the hospital. Like, we saved our first person today, and we weren't actually willing. We weren't expecting it to be live right away. We were just kind of testing it out, and they were like, "She's dying." And so it's novel because you didn't have a device that had that heavy, like high fidelity data in real time, and that was like a really the unique sauce part of what we've done. But it's and since then we've created a bunch of different devices and stuff to detect neurodegenerative diseases. So we've always been very fortunate to choose the projects that we've been after or want to
Hmm.
work on. And we're not the type of agency, we're a little choosy in that regard. It's like, if anybody else can do that, it's probably not a great fit for us because I've always been a weird company. We always started weird. I mean, obviously I started barefoot and pregnant, but
Yeah.
but on top of that, we started as a remote company before in 2018 prior to COVID. So we've
Hmm.
always been a 100% remote company. It's only recently that we have some office space that's been offered and opened up to us where we go and meet up as a group. But we've met outside of the office, but we don't outsource our development. We're a firm believer in staying local. Our talent is US based here in Maryland. Um, yeah, we've always been virtual. We've been really focused on core lean teams. So even as
Yeah.
we scale,
So for those who don't, Juliana, before we jump into the actual, for those who have not heard of TechSlice or whatever, could you actually explain us what exactly you do and who do you serve and the challenges and problems you solve for them? Because I think that's also quite fascinating.
yeah, so we're software development services. And that's how we started out. We were covering a variety of industries, and a lot of our background comes from the cybersecurity, like offensive, defensive programming space. So there's always a heavy component of security in everything we do. So it's custom software development, but like you said, we're not can't really compare apples to oranges. We're a little unique in what we choose to focus on. So it's the is this even possible problems. Not necessarily, oh, hey, we're going to create a mobile app, and which is all fantastic, right? But it's, is it possible to detect clinical consciousness in the brain? Is it like, so we're tackling really hairy, like big ideas where there's usually some tech ethic component to it, where we have to actually have discussions on security and data and what happens after, the what we build, So yeah, software services, and now we're pivoting the company. It's almost like year one where we're productizing our services.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of back into the startup journey all over again, relearning some of those like painful lessons. Um, but that's essentially what we do. And then our model started off as a hybrid sweat equity investment as well. So we do have some share, like with portfolio companies, and we like co-invest with our clients. So it's like if we're taking you on as a client, we believe in you and we're betting on you.
Yeah, that's an amazing difference that you make. The fact that you co-invest with them as well. Now, from there, I really want to talk about the uniqueness about it, because who are the people you're going after? Who are your ideal clients? Because that's quite unique as well, isn't it? When we talked about that earlier off camera, who are your ideal clients, and how do you actually go about finding them?
Yeah. So I laugh about this because I've been told by clients and uh, friends in the industry that I live life on hard mode. And their two clients are doctors and entrepreneurs, which are
Yeah.
traditionally very eccentric clients to work with, right? Like it's very smart, driven, individuals who have this dream. It's their baby. So our clients are typically med tech entrepreneurs, subject matter experts who have like some patent. They're innovating in their field. They're pushing the envelope in some way, but they're researchers, scientists, doctors, innovators, entrepreneurs. So that is our ideal clients, the ones who are building the future, right? That is our persona of a client. They're curious, they're top of their class, and they're pushing. They're building.
Gotcha. So I'm curious, because going back to what you just said earlier, when you said, look, if they have something, obviously that they're very, very clever in what they're actually coming out with. They've obviously written white papers, they're published, they're very well respected in their field. Yet, what you said was, and I just want to make sure I got this right, if other people want to work with them, develop, you don't. You want to work with almost a uniqueness unicorn. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the ones that are like, I'm tired of people dying, or I want to push the envelope. I don't know if this is possible. I think it should be. Like, can you help me figure it out? It's really like we're all entrepreneurs basically building together. Like, and that's really the partnership that we're after. It's, hey, is this even possible? Let's fucking go. Sorry, part of my language.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very intense. Like, roll up the sleeves and let's get dirty and really question each other here.
Brilliant. Yeah. So you're very much a team going in from day one, being
Yeah,
part of that team. And obviously hearing something, it's very much mission led. It's heartfelt mission led. You know, I'm sick and tired of X happening. I think I can solve it, but I'm almost like need you and a team to come and make this a reality.
exactly. It's like getting rid of all the like there's to me, and it's a very personal message where it's, I want to get rid of all the excuses for people dying from
Mhm.
problems we can save today. And that's very achievable. And
Mm.
we can be very aggressive about it. And we can solve these problems. And it's having the right people in the room with you, the right team, and you can accomplish anything. And I very much believe that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I
that's
see.
our goal. That's our mission. And then the second part of that is how do we widen the impact, or how do we widen our scope of impact as we continue to build? And that's one
Mhm.
reason we're pivoting to product. Like we've done all these things on a one-on-one basis as an agency, as like all
Yes.
these software developer nerds coming together. We understand the tech, but how do we make it more scalable, even to like we've solved our own problem? Like how do we productize this? How do we get to other software development innovators who maybe can't break into the space or have the niche expertise we do? Like how can we make ourselves as irrelevant as possible?
Got you, got you. So that being said, let's shift a little bit. Let's turn the corner a little bit and talk about the actual growing of the company, because obviously you're very unique in what you do in the field there. And when we were talking off camera before, you've got a very, and to use that word that you use, aggressive mission to be the company that people come to when they think of med tech and software, but not where you take everybody on. It's like you're very, very uniqueness from that. So could you share with us what have been some of the unique challenges that you've faced in scaling a medtech focused company compared to a traditional tech startups that you were dealing with before?
So I think it's a multi-part question or answer, really. It's um we're in this niche customer market, right? So long cycle times, which is challenging, funding cycle challenges, right? Because it's usually grant-based, self-funded, or VC funded, but VC funding, especially in today's market, is really variable. Um, so we are impacted by the startup funding market. So it becomes an issue with scalability because you're working with startups and entrepreneurs, and that's traditionally a very hard space to scale. Um, so we're not the butts in seats, put people in contracts and like, you know, we're not out to make the immediate profitable gains. We're really looking at strong businesses, strong entrepreneurs, and playing the long game. And that's our model. Like we're not taking uh our decision making process is, hey, am I betting on this? And I'm really have a 5-year roadmap for this client, right?
Mhm.
It's not like how much money I'm focusing on maximizing the revenue this year. That's always a part of it. Um, but we're really looking at a long-term play with this company and our
Gotcha,
partners.
gotcha. So when it comes to growing the company, you got, yeah, it's a very very focused mission. You team up with doctors who also are very focused with their mission. How do you balance demands of innovation, which is what they're coming with, and then regulatory compliance in a very heavily regulated field? How do you balance that?
Yeah. So I will disclaimer, we are not FDA lawyers or consultants. We often recommend they get some. So it's very much a partnership focus. So we have hardware partners, we have legal partners, we have other folks in a variety of like levels and stages that I mean partnership has been key to be able to support our clients through these different stages. So while we can focus on the tech, we're bringing in our trusted partners that have already been vetted to help them out. So they're getting a lot of efficiencies with us too, through partnerships or vendors who are specialists in their field. Um, so I'd say, and unfortunately, the compliance stuff, we are good at it. It's like I often from a technical point of view have to write all of the documentation, the SRS, SDS. So we are very familiar with that process, which is also really effective for our clients. So that's a big differentiator for us because we know like, oh, right, you're going to integrate in the hospital. Like TVAC is going to want, the hospital compliance team. They're going to want things in a certain order. We know what they're going to ask ahead of time. We know like how they want things formatted. When you when you don't do that and you submit stuff or you're missing stuff, they might have a list of like 300 stacks of paper of things that they're going to evaluate for integration. And oh, you're missing something, you put back to the pile. And that costs time and money and runway, right? And it's
Mhm.
valuable runway, especially when you're a scrappy startup. So being as like effective as possible through those different compliance gates and stages is so critically important. That could make or break you as a company early on, right? It's time and money. Um,
Absolutely.
and you want to get there as fast and cheaply as possible or efficiently as possible, right?
Yeah.
So I would say through, the school of hard knocks, I say you pay for education in a lot of ways, right? Um, and sometimes that's through experience. So we have, that scar tissue
Mhm.
of experience and it's paid dividends. So developing things in a compliant and secure way. And oftentimes we're ahead of the curve.
Mhm.
So now what you're hearing for like medical devices is they're going through a whole new security compliance bar. And so some people are like, oh, we might have to take our products off the market. So we're also building in a way to future proof a lot of our clients and portfolio clients. So we're not having to go back and scrap things.
Yeah, I
So
think
I would
that's
say,
really important. Like you said, it's future proofing it as well. So it's not just for here and now, just to get it going. You don't want it to get it going and then have to come to an abrupt halt later on because now things have changed, the regulations have changed. So absolutely getting to that future proof is very important.
yeah. And I think that's a big part of our model that is very unique because I'm a big believer. Like I have an econ background, environmental science background. I'm all about incentives, like
Mm.
for team building and then like aligning incentives. That's like a big theme for me. And when we're invested with our clients or their portfolio clients, we are future proofing. We want to protect our investment as well and make it as, strengthen our ability to have that multiple in the end, right? So we don't want to have to come back and it cost us more money to like fix things.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah, because it's you as well. If you co-invested, it's you as well,
Yeah.
your company at the risk as well. So yeah, I think it's a very good foresight going on there. Now, that being said, I love what you just said about incentives. You're a lover about incentives. Let's talk about bringing, acquiring, retaining clients in your unique niche. What strategies have worked best for you in acquiring clients, and what hasn't really worked for you that most people think would work?
Um, so another way we were weird, I don't even think we had a website for the first year and a half as a tech company. Like we didn't want it.
That's unheard
We're-
of. That's
yeah,
unheard of.
and we were turning business away,
Yeah.
which is crazy. But because we were so focused on we're not going to take on something that somebody else can do, because then you're ending up in like a bidding war or offshoring or whatever. And I'm like, I've even told them, I'm like, here's some offshore firms, like go like this, manage it. And we're about being the experts and authority, right? So, um, that's a great question. I don't really know how to answer that. I think it's just referrals. And when you're so focused on being the industry expert, like we can't really help it. Like, I feel like when you're a true technologist and our team is like they're doing things in their free time, this is what we obsess over, right? So
Mm,
when we have that passion, people naturally gravitate like, oh, I'm trying to learn about this or explore like what I need to do or how to solve this problem. They go and experts seek out other experts.
mm,
And so that referral or word of mouth or hey, like in the medical community, the ones that are really innovating, pushing the boundaries, they all know each other, talk to each other because they're the ones pushing each other forward and exchanging ideas.
mm,
And so that knowledge transfer, or they see our products out into different hospital environments, they're like, oh, you built that? Great. And they already know it's top level. They're like, oh, you were able to achieve XYZ. So the fact that we're focusing on the things that we're focusing on, our natural audience gravitates towards that and is going to find that naturally. So it's kind of like a little bit of a marketing hack where
yeah.
those authority figures already seeking you out because they're already getting hounded by like medical device reps and all these other people, right? They're I think entrepreneurs are one of the most expensive ones when you talk about marketing advertising to target, like cost wise. And then like when you look at all the marketing things and pay per click or whatever. But if you are in the knowledge bases where they're seeking information, that's where they're going to find us.
Mm,
And that's very much our approach. It's very organic, very natural, very referral based, and very like industry expert knowledge based. Like we're answering a lot of questions, doing a lot of pro bono consultation because again, it's not about ego, it's not about us. It's we want people to do this right and we're really focused on saving people today and getting rid of those excuses. So if we can help somebody even outside of our company, outside of any financial benefit to get there, that benefits all of us. Innovation benefits us globally. Uh,
mm. I think it's a really good point, Sam. I mean, yeah. In fact, I was just picking up so many little nuggets from there. I think the first and foremost, let's talk about marketing magnet because when I look at you, I look what your company is. It very much is like a marketing magnet. People are drawn to you, and I think there's as like you said, being experts in the knowledge field, there people will seek you out. I think there's a little bit more than that. The fact that you turn people away, the more you turn people away, the more people want to work with you. And that's a really key point because you know your worth. And as a business owner and entrepreneur, when you start with a fight to the bottom and try to be like everybody else, it just doesn't work. And the fact that you hold yourself up to a much higher level really tends to attract people from that. And as you said, once you've got something, your results, where you can get very aggressive and get there very, very quickly, people want results. It's not necessarily the process they're interested in. It's just like, especially in your field, I want to save lives. How do I save lives as quickly as I possibly can? And that mission-led, driven ability to get things done is also a massive magnet, I feel.
yeah. When I feel like when you have that focus, when you're very clear on that, it makes it easier to align the team, align incentives, and make decisions. It makes it easier to say no. And also I grew up stubborn, so that also might be like, I don't know if it's a female dynamic or whatever, but there's times where like, yeah, no, it's not gonna happen.
So that being said, let's flip the coin 180. Could you talk about a time when you faced like a major setback during your growth phase, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, not every investment is a win.
Mm.
Uh, and I'm okay making expensive mistakes that are my decisions, but there's also outside factors that can really hit you hard. So we took a couple of like knocks, one right after each other, and a lot of it was we had one or two startups that were like big, our kind of castle clients. I talk about like castle and moats a lot when it comes to customer acquisition and our business model and what we can support and build on as a team. And two of our castles, like our big clients uh, that had signed for funding, like, all right, we have in our mind this money in the bank. VC fell through, VC funding fell through for that client. It was like promised. We had all the indications. We went forward in good faith. There was no way that they could pay us. And now I had built up this massive team to support them that contractually I couldn't let go. So I had to float that cost wise. And everything came barreling down. And it was a big loss on the portfolio side because we had made an aggressive deal. Um, and then all of that went to waste and we didn't have money to finish the product to like recoup that investment where it didn't quite make sense. And then yeah, so we took a major loss and so that set us back quite a bit. And when you're a boutique firm and you get that loss, like how do you recover? Right? How do create that like financial resiliency? Like thankfully we had built up a lot of um some financial reserves. We had line of credit. We had like some financial tools and instruments around us to support, us making some risky decisions. And we knew that we're capable enough that we can turn around and get another contract to make up that revenue. So we're very fortunate in that regard. But that happened to us like twice back to back. And we had to recover from that as a small company. And so when I hear other companies taking the losses that we took, it would sink them.
Mm.
But I think because we are so lean and efficient in so many other areas, we didn't have lease space, we didn't have office, we don't have the carry and overhead burden because we're so focused on like what's explicitly needed and lean on all these projects. But even in our company, that we are able to take like bigger risks and bigger losses, or we're able to swing for the fences a bit more, but there's a limit to that, right? And
Yeah,
so right now it's like
absolutely.
we need to build, cash is king right now. We're building that financial buffer as much as possible, um, because you also have to pivot and realize like different things work at different times, and just trying to like build that safety net just like you would on the personal side in business as much as possible. But there's times where I have to talk to the team and be like, look, this is what's going on. And in those times, um, like I hire them for their brains and their team and collaboration. And they brought up ideas and really pushed me on strategies of like going forward, we have to have these safeguards in place. Going forward, like what have you tried this? And um, it's very collaborative. Like our our team structure is not top down. It's very like round table, um, which is super beneficial because there's increased buy-in. So when we do have setbacks, I feel like I have more horsepower to recover from those setbacks because it's not just me solving those problems. It's all of us
Yeah,
tackling this
good
problem
point.
together. So not just on the client projects, but when those setbacks happen. That's a long-winded way of saying
Yeah.
it sucks, but we tackle it as a team.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think again, just sort of pulling on little threads there. There was some really good bits of insights there. Cash is king. You got to, but if you're looking after your cash, then you can, like you said, swing for the fences. You can be a little bit more aggressive in what you're actually doing, and you can take bigger risks. But if it goes against you, you've got that little bit of buffer. Um, Talking
And then
about
your team is bought,
team.
and your team is bought in too, because like you're like, we're deciding on this together. Do we want to take this risk? So when it doesn't pan out, they're like, we're taking the L and like, how do we recover together? So it's almost like keeping them and the retention in the team and having that buy-in in the wins and in the losses, which is really powerful. And I'm very fortunate. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was just going to go on to team. The very fact that you know especially in tech and entrepreneurship, having a great team that's bought into the mission, that's bought into the direction and the journey and the destination is so important. And so I'm glad you brought that into our conversation today. But I want to move on to something which we talked about off camera, which is something very, very dear to my heart as well when it comes to entrepreneurship, is mentorship. Could you share with us your experiences and your thoughts and insights in the value of mentors and mentorship as an entrepreneur?
I hands down would not be where I am today without my network, without my mentors. I would not be in the position I am today. Um, so going back to the origins of the company, when I was recruiting, there was a lot of junior developers who were like, I just need a shot, I need a chance. And even my clients that I was recruiting for, I'm like curious, and they kind of took me under their wing. They let me sit on agile meetings. They introduced me to Scrum. They introduced me to their projects and would explain technical concepts. And the one I love Baltimore, you'll hear me say this. I don't think there is a more supportive tech community of mentors, of technologists, of just open-hearted people focused on equality and like bringing people into the fold than the Baltimore ecosystem. It's about Equitech. It's about um, helping, teaching, sharing knowledge. Like there's a huge culture of mentorship here. And I think that it provides a lot to like the success that we've had and that I've personally been able to, the opportunities that I've been presented with. So I've had mentors that were started out as clients when I was in recruiting days. When I started the company, I got together this like band of rebel technologists who were really mentors for the junior technologists and even myself. Like two of my code mentors, first person to tell me to help me set up my AWS account or EC2 instance, the first people to teach me how to code like websites and like things like that, or teach me Linux. Those two mentors that first taught me in the Baltimore ecosystem work with me to this day at the company, like almost 7 years later. But we all got together nights and weekends after work. This is what we're passionate about. We want to push each other to be the best versions, those knowledgeable versions of ourselves and be able to pass on that knowledge. And so mentorship is core of like who we are as a company. And we don't like mentorship programs because it's tailored to meeting people where they are. I think that's an important part of mentorship. There's training, there's teaching, and there's mentorship. And those are all very three different things. And you employ those at different points in time. But for us, it was always about mentorship and knowledge sharing, the core of our company. So even now, I mentor the team on certain things on where I feel like my skill sets and strengths lie. They mentor me and teach me and knowledge share on other technical concepts that, they're way advanced on me. So it's very much a collaborative mentorship approach. Some folks in my network, the one who passed on that original EG opportunity was a former mentor. And I was like, hey, I think I'm starting a company. He's like, you're crazy. Don't do it. And, but if you are, here's the thing. And some of my best mentors are like, are you sure you want to do this? Okay. If you're going to do this, here's what to look out for. So I look for mentors who have a lens to like, who've done what I'm looking to do and who have gone through, like, if I can learn from their expensive mistakes, I'm like, great. Like, I already am getting some of that insight or the tips and tricks before I step into this. And I know I'm going to stumble, but I know who I'm going to call when those stumbles happen. And I think that's so critical. And another reason why I feel more comfortable taking those risks, because I can phone a friend and be like, how did you bail yourself out of this situation? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so fundamentally key. There's so many entrepreneurs there, especially tech entrepreneurs I found, because it is their baby. They feel they've got to do it all by themselves. They're the ones that's going to take it to where the vision they have. But like you said, I mean, the phrase I use is mentors show me where the landmines are. I'm learning from their experiences so I can get to the other side quicker, more efficiently, and as you quite rightly say, which I don't normally, I'm going to use that as well, is that, yeah, I will sometimes stumble and I will sometimes get on there, but how do I get out of it? Because you can't do that on your own. You need to speak to mentors and say, well, how did you get to the other side? How do
yeah.
you do that more efficiently?
And I think that's kind of a natural advantage that I've had. So I'm the youngest of five kids. And so I've had this practice since I was young from learning from others' mistakes ahead of me. I'm like, oh, you're trying to sneak out? Here's how you get caught. Like, don't do that. Like, or I
Yeah,
mean, it's the same thing in business. We're all children figuring it out, right? Um, Trying to get our way in a variety of ways. It's
exactly.
like, what did you do in these situations? So,
Yeah, it does really help. So, I have one final question for you, Julia, because I love the way we did a big full circle on this. Back to your childhood, is that if you could give your younger self one piece of advice with everything that you've learned so far, what would that one piece of advice be?
that's a great question. I think it would depend on what stage I was at. But I mean, more than everything, it's just take that next step. Like one thing I always say, and the advice I give to a lot of the entrepreneurs I talk to is just keep swimming. I'm like, I love, I have a 5-year-old daughter. And so we watch a lot of kid shows, but also like Finding Nemo a lot. And I try and embody Dory as much as possible. Like just keep swimming is my motto. So like I've written that quote down. Just keep swimming and then embody Dory. Like have a short memory because it's really important. Like there's always going to be things that happen, always challenges. You're always learning. If you're and entrepreneurs have a terrible time at this, you beat yourself up on all these little mistakes. And if you have a short-term memory about that and you can recover faster and spend that energy instead of beating yourself up, you can spend all that mental fortitude towards moving forward in progress. That the most successful entrepreneurs and mentors that I really admire have that quick recovery period
Mm,
where they're like,
mm.
whoops, change directions, whoops, change directions, and they have that short-term memory and they're not wasting precious energy and mental overhead beating themselves up over the past. You get it, you learn your lesson, you move on, and you invest that expensive lesson moving forward. So how you recover and how you apply that is really important. So my version is be Dory and just keep swimming.
Yeah, that is a brilliant piece of advice. Absolutely love that, and you embody that correct, so well. Short memory, don't beat yourself up as an entrepreneur. Fail fast, change. All of those things that you just encompass as absolutely fantastic piece of advice for us to end on. So, Juliana, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you very much for sharing your insights and your expertise. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me. I love these chats and I love like the previous episodes you have. So I'm really excited to listen in on more of the entrepreneur stories that you have coming up. But thank you so much for taking the time and have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you very much. So, Juliana, if people want to get hold of you, they want to potentially work with you, what's the best way of getting hold of you?
I would say you can contact us directly on our website, techslice.com, TECH, slice like a slice of pizza.com. And, or you can just email me directly at Juliana, Juliana, at techslice.com. Very, very accessible. We pick up the phone. You can call me anytime. We're open book and happy to, point everyone in the right direction when it comes to tech.
Brilliant. Well, I'll make sure those are in the show notes below so people can get hold of you. So thank you once again, Juliana, and thank you guys for joining us on this fantastic episode. And as per usual, Juliana has given us some great insights. She's shared her expertise. So if you've got something from this, please make sure you do one of four or all four, which is make sure you make sure you comment maybe what you found out. Let's put that in the comment bit. And subscribe, but more importantly, please share. We're all in this industry together, and the reason why we bring leaders like Juliana together is so that we can share the knowledge so that we can all benefit. So until then, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Juliana, thank you very much for being our superb guest today. It's been absolutely lovely. And until next time, take care. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.